What's up, guys? So I've been watching MXGP this year. I've kind of always just put it off because I didn't really like the promoters, and I think the fact that they don't pay their riders is ridiculous. So I've kind of stayed away from it, but I'll tell you what, I was missing out. There are so many good riders and so much good talent in Europe. I have to say, I thoroughly enjoy watching these guys week in and week out. Lucas Coenen was perfect. Whew, I'll get into that. Kyle Wolf, man, riding angry. And we had a Jason Anderson sighting at Paula. Does this mean he's going to race? I don't know. I'm going to break that down. And if you haven't tried Nano-Extreme, I strongly recommend it. This is by far the best pain solution that I've ever used. So head over to Nano-Extreme, use code Cooksy, and get free shipping. Trust me, you will thank me later. Do you have something big planned this summer? You got an event you're going to, Mammoth, Loretta's, and you have a few questions about your training program? Click the link below and get yourself a 30-minute consultation with the man himself, Coach Rob Beams. He'll help you get dialed in and ready for whatever you're doing this summer. Check out Alias MX. I just ordered some gloves to go ride on my e-bike, and I'm working a deal right now with an e-bike company to give one away to you guys. And I'm not talking the e-pedal bikes, I'm talking about e-motorcycles. But I needed some gloves, so I went over to Alias MX, got some gloves coming. And if you need some bicycle gear, and their new 2026 will be dropping this summer, so head over to aliasmx.com.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
So unfortunately this weekend, Portugal was a mutter. This track looks so cool. It's so wide. It's got that kind of orange looking dirt. Big jumps. It looked like it was going to be just a fun race to watch, and then the skies opened up and it just made it a quagmire. But the guys in MXGP, they understand how to ride these. In fact, that's why every single time a guy from Europe comes over here, they go, oh, he'll be good in the mud, because they have to deal with this all the time. And nobody did a better job of dealing with it than Andrea Adamo. He was perfect in the MX2 class. He won the qualifier and he won both motos. He rode really smart, worked his way to the front, and just managed it with no mistakes, or not any mistakes that would cost him the lead. And in MXGP, they have the qualifying race the day before, and it gives these guys 10 championship points if you win, and then there's 1 point all the way down to 10th place. So anyone inside the top 10 can earn championship points on Saturday. Adamo won that, got the 10 points, and then each moto, he scored 60 points in one weekend. I really wish Supercross and Motocross gave some sort of a points bonus for qualifying. These dudes are out there just sending it for one lap, going as fast as they can. It should be for more than just starting position. I really think if they gave like fast qualifier 3 points, second 2 points, and third 1 point, or even just 1 point to the fastest qualifier, it would make practice and qualifying a lot more exciting. And the reigning MX2 champ, Kyle Wolf, was out there. He woke up on the wrong side of the bed. He looked grumpy. I mean, he was running dudes wide. Crashing. He looked angry on the podium. It was a bad weekend for Kyle Wolf, but he still, like most champions do, even on a bad weekend with all that happened, he still went 3-3 for second overall. That move he did on Langenfelder, whew, that was a rough one. Even Paul Malin, the announcer, was like, whoa, Kai, you might want to turn there instead of just going straight into the guy. He cut across like 20 or 30 feet of track to make sure he had contact with Langenfelder. I don't know if there's a previous issue between these two, but he definitely wanted to send a message to Simon. And then in the race, poor Cameron McClellan was just trying to survive out there in the mud. DeWolf went down, and McClellan went right past him, and then Kyle Wolf just pins it and cleans out his front tire. I was like, oh man. It wasn't extremely dirty, but honestly, I think if he just waited the next turn, he might have been able to just get right by McClellan with no contact. But Kyle Wolf, I'll say this about him, he has no mercy out there. If you're in his way, you're in danger. And the move on McClellan wasn't bad. It was just a little tip over, but in that mud with the bikes were just sticking. It took him a long time to get going. It cost him a lot of positions. I'm not sure what DeWolf is so mad about. I'm wondering if there's a bit of kind of jealousy that he's not in the 450 class. All offseason, they were deciding 250, 450, does he defend the championship or not? And his championship rival from last year, Lucas Coenen, got the 450 ride. They both ride for the Pierre group, which is the KTM, Husqvarna, Gas group. So I'm wondering if Kyle Wolf really wanted to go 450 and he was kind of not given that opportunity. He's a bigger dude. He would absolutely be having a similar success as Lucas Coenen because this dude can ride and he's a bigger guy. So I think the 450 will really be an advantage for Kay de Wolf. I do believe as soon as he gets on that 450, he will be an instant championship contender. But it's got to bother him a little bit that the guy he beat in the championship last year is winning at the highest level in the premier class while he's stuck in MX2 racing all these crazy kids. And man, that 250 class, there's a lot of fast kids that just go full send. There's about 10 different guys that could win on any given day if they got a whole shot. Whereas in the MXGP class, it's kind of like 4 or 5 guys once you get to the top. It spreads out a little bit more throughout the field. You know, Geyser, Fevre, they might be better than the 250 guys, but the field isn't quite as deep as you go down. And his teammate, Liam Everts, oh boy, the wheels have come off this championship for Liam Everts. He was doing so good until he had that crash where he broke his throttle and DNF'd. I think it was Trentino. Ever since then, it has been a rough season. Until that point, he was right there in the championship battle. I believe he even had the red plate at one point. Now he's 69 points down to Kay de Wolf. And then Adamo's 5 points back and Langenfelder's only 2 back. So you got 3 guys between 5 points. And then you get Liam Everts all the way back 69 points out. I know it's a long season and there's a lot of points on the line. Every weekend they got the qualifying and then 2 motos. So there's a lot of points to be made up, but to make up that kind of points difference on 3 guys is hard. If it's 1 guy, you can maybe hope they have a bad weekend, but when there's 3 of them, at this point, all Liam needs to do is just go out there and go for race wins. And if he gets incredibly lucky, he'll get back into this championship fight, but just stack up as many race wins as he can. And the human highlight reel, Sacha Coenen, did not disappoint. This dude looks like a kid on his dad's motorcycle. He's so small. He's got to be like 80 pounds. I'm exaggerating, but he is a tiny little guy. He rips those hole shots, and then he just goes full send. He was leading the first moto and looked like he might get the moto win, but he's looked like that a lot this year, and then he has these spectacular crashes. This one was no different. I mean, he kind of jumped sideways, went off into the mud, and his bike stuck, and he just went over the front. Kind of a blooper type crash, but typical Sacha Coenen, he always does something exciting. And being that he is, you know, the size of maybe a 10-year-old, he could not get that bike out of there. He was stuck. It took him a long time to get going, and he was only able to salvage 18th in that first moto. I want a Sacha Coenen camera because he is so much fun to watch. He literally has everybody on the edge of their seat at all times. His poor team manager is probably going to have hypertension after this season. Just watching him, it's got to be difficult. So the mud kind of threw a wrench into the racing. I like it when it's not muddy and we get to see the guys go out there and demonstrate their traditional skills. But in Europe, this happens all the time. They're very accustomed to racing in the mud, and Adamo, man, he was perfect. It's really rare in that 250 class to win the qualifier and both motos. I don't think many people have done it this year, but Adamo did it in these nasty conditions. He rode so smart, and he was falling a little bit behind in the championship, but all the points he made up this weekend put him right back in the mix. This is the 2023 champion, so he knows how to win championships, and these 3 guys up top, they mean business. Check out Ride Strapped, goggles, glasses, shirts, just one of the best companies out there. I really enjoy dealing with these guys. It's ridestrap.com. Get your red pill shirt, get your goggles, glasses, just good people. Ridestrap.com. Precision Transport. Hit up pretransport.com if you need to ship anything and you want a family-owned business that really takes pride in customer service, getting you tracking numbers, reasonable pricing. The Madden family does a great job, so hit up pretransport.com. In the MXGP class, the big question was, will Tim Geyser make his return? He had that big crash at the last round when he hit the bump that was built on the side of the track, the landmine, I should say. Dislocated his shoulder. Then he had troubles getting it back in. He was really pissed that the medical staff wasn't up to standards, and it took a long time to get that shoulder popped in. Probably stretched out all his tendons, but he had a few weeks off, and a lot of times on a dislocation, you can get right back out there. Clearly, this injury is a little worse than I had probably suspected or a typical dislocation. He was not out there. I don't know if he'll be in Spain this weekend, but he's losing valuable points. He had a huge lead in this championship because he was having just a perfect season until this crash. And he might still be in this championship battle if he skips Spain. But if he does that, he's going to be in a serious deficit, and he's going to have to immediately return to that form that he had prior to the crash and start winning everything if he wants to get back in this championship. Right now, he's 25 points down to Romain Febvre. And in this series, a long series with a lot of points on the line, that's not that many. But if he loses more points this weekend, once you get upwards of 50 to 100 points behind a guy, it is difficult to make a comeback. But I'll tell you who isn't worried about that championship fight. Lucas Coenen. This guy has been on fire. Last round, he won both motos for his first GP win. This weekend, he wins the qualifier and both motos. He looks like Tim Geiser did early in the year. He's still way down on points because he's had some rookie mistakes. And I don't think either Geiser or Febvre is really worried about him as far as the overall championship. But on any given day, Lucas Coenen can take points from either guy. And the points he took from Febvre at this round might be important come the end of this series. Whenever a series comes down to just a couple points, we always look back to specific events. This is one of those days where if Febvre could have passed Coenen in one or both of those motos, that's 3 or 6 extra points that he would have over Tim Geiser. But Febvre rode really smart. He knew, you know what, Geiser's out. I just need to not have a big mistake. I need to make sure I'm in the top 3 and get as many points as I can and secure a solid lead in this championship. He's a past champion. He knows how to win, and that's exactly what he's trying to do. Big man, Ruben Fernandez. And you guys know I'm a big guy, so I always cheer for dudes that don't fit the prototypical motocross body type. And Ruben Fernandez definitely fits this. He's a big, strong dude on that HRC Honda. I'll bet he breaks a lot of wheels, man. He has got to be testing that equipment because he rides like a savage, and he is not a small guy. He had a great day and got that HRC Honda onto the podium. He's carrying the mantle with Geiser out for HRC, and I'm sure they were happy to be up on the podium with their star sitting out. And the Bullet, Jeffrey Hurlings, I was really excited to see how he would do this round. He's been racing himself back into shape after coming in late with that ACL injury. But at the last round, he looked significantly better. And then with a week off, I think he went and raced one of the National Series. But I expected to see a lot better Jeffrey Hurlings coming into this round, and we did. In the qualifier, he was battling up front. He was in second, and he had this kind of silly crash that you typically see a lot in the mud, but he was on the downside of a blind jump, and Febvre came over and just had nowhere to go and clobbered him. He was able to race the next day, but man, he took a big hit. I hope this doesn't slow his recovery, and he continues building that endurance that he's been struggling with. Because the only thing that gets rid of arm pump like that he's been suffering from is actually getting on the bike and riding. You can train all you want, but you really need actual race time to get into race shape and eliminate that arm pump so he can be the Bullet that we all know he is. And how about Team Fantic? So they've got 3 guys. They got Bonacorsi, Bogers, and Koldenhoff. All 3 of these guys have been up front this year. Bonacorsi ended up this race in 4th place overall, which typically be like, wow, Fantic did pretty good. But this is the norm for them. Whatever they're doing at Fantic, it is working. Keep doing it. And Bogers had a wild incident in that first moto, passed and was looking really good, charged into 3rd place, and then he kind of had this weird crash. And once again, we got another shoulder injury. His shoulder popped out of place. And he did his best, Mel Gibson and Lethal Weapon, to pop that thing back into place, popped it into place, and finished 18th. He did try to ride the second moto, but I think the pain was too much, or maybe it popped out again. I didn't see, but he ended up 23rd. And I will say this, if you got a shoulder that's popping out over and over, you got to take time off and rehab it or get the surgery, because every single time that pops out, it's more likely to happen again. So I hope Bogers takes the time he needs to get that shoulder fixed, because if he keeps doing damage to it, he might make it to where it's irreparable. So this week they're in Spain, and I hope it's a dry race. But man, I am really enjoying the MXGP racing. There is a lot of really fast dudes out there, and it's quite different than the American series in the sense of these dudes are outdoor specialists. This is what they do. They're not switching back and forth between Supercross, so their outdoor skills are they're so good. Speaking of outdoor skills, we got Jason Anderson spotted at Paula Raceway. He has had one of the weirdest exits from a Supercross season that we've seen. He literally flew out of Seattle because some sort of an illness, and then we heard all sorts of crazy stuff about him. We didn't know if we were going to see him again. Looks like he is prepping, and he will be outdoors for Team Kawasaki, even though they have not decided to retain him for 2026. I really hope he goes out there, has some good performances, and gets himself a ride on Ducati, Triumph, or I think the best fit for Jason Anderson would be to jump on something like Team Tedder. They get factory equipment, they rent it from KTM. He gets to be himself, do his own thing, and that program is pretty solid over there at Team Tedder. So I hope they can find the money to get Jason Anderson over there. And one of the weirdest things I saw this week was Jett Lawrence at the Met Gala. I had to Google what that is. It's this weird high-end event where rich people go and it's like, look how cool we are. We're so exclusive and we're important. Look at us. I find it strange that Jett Lawrence, a dirt bike rider, was there. Listen, I would much rather be at Lot B at Redbud than the Met Gala, but the people at the top of this sport, they want to make it so elite. I think it's stupid. And while they might be doing backflips because they got a guy into the Met Gala, I could care less. Like I said, I'd rather see him partying with the people in Lot B than at the Met Gala. But it is what it is. Anyway, thank you, members. I appreciate everything. One of you will win a 32-ounce bottle of Nano Xtreme this month. We'll be giving that away to a member. And like I said, I'm working on an e-bike deal where I'm going to give away an e-bike to a member.